The distance from one drum to the next, you want to make it as efficient as possible. So you want to have playing zones along the side. And so there's a tendency to overshoot, playing from center to center, and that gives you a deader sound. And you want to make it so that whatever you're playing on one drum, that technique transfers over, and all you're doing is moving basically from the elbow, kind of pivoting side to side. So whenever you're doing any kind of scrapes, the goal is to not like turn your wrist out or in or anything like this when you're moving around the drums. You want to have the same technique going up and down, and you're just moving side to side. So you'll focus on that quick motion to kind of get your hand over there. You want to be able to hear the stick vibrate and feel it kind of like tickle your hands while you're playing. So you get an actual hum out of the stick. So the boom, boom, that sound, as opposed to this where I'm holding onto it. You can't hear that extra vibration. So when you're playing relaxed, it's more relaxed than you might actually think. When I was studying with Glenn Crosby, whenever playing, he was always like, play more relaxed, play more relaxed. And I was like, I am playing relaxed. And he's like, not enough. Like, it should get to the point where you can literally just pull the stick out of your hand while somebody's playing. So when I was teaching, I'd sometimes just like go up to the line and just like grab a stick and try and pull it out. If they held on to it, then they're squeezing too much. If you see white knuckles like this, you're squeezing too much. It's too tense. So you should have it so that your fingers are literally just like resting on the stick, and you're relying on like your fingerprints, your thumbprint, to prevent it from sliding up and down, but you don't actually need to squeeze to hold on to it. So really focus on playing super relaxed to the point where you're like dropping sticks, and then pull it back just a little bit, and that should be good enough for it. Diddle strength goes from 20 up to 160 beats a minute, everything at the same height. Emphasizing the first note of the diddle with about a 3-inch difference between the accent and the tap. Emphasizing the second note of the diddle. And then you do it on both hands so you can hear them together. The popping sound is a good thing. You don't want to hear flams. You want to hear the pops on the both. You want to make sure that the heights are the same and the velocity is the same from the starting position into the head. You want it to go at the same speed. So you don't want one hand to move faster while the other hand moves slower. This is the 3-stroke version of what I just showed you. So it has all 3 notes emphasized, then the first note, and then actually the last partial, and then the second partial. You're just trying to make it so you can emphasize it so you have a nice even 3 instead of playing 3 strokes like, because you can't control it too. Another way to think of it is almost like it's crescendoing, like the way that you have to like move your hands, but it'll give you an even sound. So you're thinking like that with just making it smooth. Another way to actually work on the hand that is the non-dominant hand, the hand that is the weaker hand, is to just like do more chop related stuff. The sticks I'm using are the rudiment hammers. So these are great for building chops on soft surfaces like a pillow. You can even play on your leg. It just doesn't feel good. It kind of hurts. You can even play with the butt end like this. Or if you play traditional grip, you can play like this. Like there's many different ways that you can work on it and work on your chops, but this kind of hurts after a while and can, you know, tenderize your arm. To help your hands to recover is like to have your arms up in the air when you're going to sleep or something. If you lay on your back, arms straight out, you can like hold like a book or something and do that for like 10, 15 minutes, or just hold them up in the air in public. So people will look at you and be like, what? And you'll be like, go! That helps with getting rid of some inflammation. Icing can be helpful as well, like ice your forearms. Stretch and massage routine is good. Taking breaks, I'm not good at that. To be completely candid with y'all. Timer on my watch that I'll set for 50 minutes, 5-0. I'll work for 50 minutes and then I'll take a 10-minute break where I'll walk on the treadmill and play like a video game. Also, just practice slow. Playing slow is a great way to be able to work on improving without burning your hands out. Then there's also the mental side of burnout where you're just like, I don't really want to play. So what I focus on is like playing fun stuff. So some streams I come on here, I'm like, I'm just going to chop out this morning, and I'll do that for like an hour. I'm all for the grind, which is why I've got like multiple merch shirts that say like I'm here for the XP and grinding for XP, etc. But sometimes you got to take a break, and that's okay. 3 pieces of advice for improving any kind of rudiment. Set your metronome to like 40 beats a minute and just sit with it, and then go up 1 to 5 clicks, preferably 1, and then sit with it for 5 to 10 minutes and just keep repeating that. Second thing is you can actually actually use grid variations. So grid variations move accents, permutate them, and make it so that you can play any rudiment with the accent anywhere, before, after, on it, whatever. So for example, there's cheese before an accent, there's cheese after an accent, etc. There are 26 different video variations for triplet right here. There's actually even more for 16th notes. There's 32 just for cheese. This goes for many more rudiments on here. So we have like flam fives or buzzes or Swiss drags. Another thing that I actually recommend for working on this is either fast, slow, fast, or slow, fast, slow. So you're basically doing like cheese and slowly speeding it up over the course of a couple minutes, and then you slow it back down again, etc. So those are 3 different ways that you can work on improving the interpretation of any rudiment. What does listening in mean? When I'm playing the exercises, I'm trying to make it so that my playing perfectly aligns with what you hear when it starts tapping off, etc. It's the same thing for when you're marching on a drum line. So if you are anywhere but the center, your goal is to listen in to the interpretation of the center, snare, tenor, whatever, and how they are playing it. As you go further down the line, it makes it so that if you have like 10 people on your snare line, you only have to correct the interpretation of the center snare, and then everybody else is supposed to follow and match that interpretation. Some people who get sweatier hands prefer like the natural wood rather than tape sticks. They'll sometimes like tape up to like the 2/3 part, as opposed to like doing a full body stick tape. And that's so that the wood can actually absorb it. Back when I marched with Academy for a couple of years, we had some people who had some sweatier hands. We actually ended up doing tennis wristbands, the ones that like keep your sweat, and you can also put them on your head as well to keep the sweat out of your eyes. Putting them here would, 1, it can keep your hands warm if you're in a colder environment, but 2, it also can prevent some of the sweat from going into your hands and whatnot. How do you practice drill while playing snare at home? One of the ways that I did it, actually go to like a soccer field or just like a big open park, etc. Practice just like marching while. Another thing is like visualize it. So a lot of drum lines like WGI, DCI, what they'll end up doing is marking time, and they'll have like step off this way, and they'll just kind of like, and then we step off this way. A lot of brass lines do this in particular, and then they'll like go like this and do their like fake little wee weird things with their hips. So you can visualize like, oh, these are the motions that I'm going to do, and you're just kind of thinking in your head what it would look like if your body was not just confined to like a 2x2 little square. Back when I used to teach drumline, one of the things that I was doing for the last like couple of years was helping students to identify what the problem is. Like, our rolls sound bad in this phrase, and then go, okay, well, what specifically about it? Are you slurring out the rolls? Are you rushing the rolls? Are you crushing the rolls? What is the issue? Is it the check that's beforehand? Is it the roll itself? And then going, okay, well, what exactly do we need to do to fix that? What are like 5 different ways that you can work on improving slurred out diddles? Let's think of some ways that you can do that relate to the context. If that's too fast for you, that's okay. You can slow this down to as slow as 40 beats a minute. Timestamps in the description. And there's literally over 1,000 free play alongs linked at the top of the screen.